I'm recording
Why
now.
do you?
Why do I
Pup comes
what?
up here with the loudest toy ever. Like I'm trying to record, and you're gonna bring up the loudest. It's like toy.
Oh, of course.
If it bothers you, I don't know what to do. I can't put her in a room because if I do, she'll start barking, and that's all you'll hear.
It's all
Here we
good.
go.
We'll just have the
Okay.
dog join us in the video today.
Okay. Are you gonna be in this video? Are you gonna be in this video? I got your nose.
Say hi
I
to
got your nose.
YouTube. Hi,
Say
YouTube.
hi, puppy. Puppy.
So.
Oh, she's jumping up. She's saying hi to you. She's all excited. You hear him? You hear Toasty?
Hey there, my
Yeah.
friends. So, yeah, I'm joined here today with Meliplayful.
Hi.
So, we're just going to do some like icebreaker questions. And I debated whether or not I should show them on the screen, and I decided seeing my face was better than that. But I'll have the link to like all the questions in the description. We're just taking it off this website, anyways. But pretty much, we're just taking turns. We're going to answer the top 10 of these. The first question
Hey,
is,
Toasty.
yeah,
You need to redo all of that.
why?
Because I was talking in the beginning and I was talking over you.
Nah,
And
it's a good
I was
intro.
like, okay.
Good intro.
Okay.
When someone finds out what you do or where you're from, what questions do they always ask you?
Okay, so this is the truth. I'm from Tennessee.
Hmm.
I'm sure everybody knows this because I got that country bumpkin ass accent, and everyone always wants me to talk and say certain words like y'all, or they want me to. Or this was the funny one. People up north. This person looked at me and said, "But you have shoes on," and I was like, "What?" Yeah, I have shoes on. So everyone's always shocked about where I'm from because they have all these questions, and it's really not as country as what people think it is. And as of like what I do, everyone just wants to. I'm a jewelry maker, and so everybody wants to see what I make and want to find out more about like what I'm able to do. What about you?
I'm just curious to why people think you should not be wearing shoes. You didn't see my face. You'll see it when you watch the video.
I just remember growing up, like all of the TV shows, like the people in the country, they were barefoot, and the truth is, I was always I'm still always barefooted, except for when I go out to town because that's disgusting.
Yeah,
You need to
well,
put some shoes on.
I'm barefoot too, but I'm not from the country. I'm
Yeah,
from,
but are you outside all the time barefooted?
yeah.
Like my feet are so tough, I could probably step on like fire and not even feel them because I'm outside all the time
I used to
barefooted.
walk on these old railroad tracks called the rails and trails. It wasn't like tracks. I don't understand. It was like either so old that it had completely deteriorated, but whatever. Anyway, so it's just gravel. So it's just rocks. I used to walk
Right.
on that all the time. But there's
That's
something
what I
else.
do.
Isn't what's in Tennessee? Is a big Nashville? Yeah, Nashville isn't.
Nashville,
Yeah,
Memphis, Knoxville. I'm closer to
exactly.
the Great Smoky Mountains, so I'm on the East Tennessee side, and I'm actually in the valley.
But
So I
aren't
mean,
those like cities?
yeah, there's
Yeah,
there's cities here. I mean, they're not as big as like Chicago,
of course.
but they're big cities, to us. I mean, I can go to Knoxville and show you everything up in there. I can do that in Memphis too because I used to live next to Memphis. But it's people have the wrong ideal about people from Tennessee.
All right, so I'll answer this question. When someone finds out where I'm from like New Hampshire, but it's very weird because I moved around a lot. I would say that I spent most of my time like near southern New Hampshire, but pretty much I'm from like everywhere in New Hampshire. But I would consider like my most formative years were in Vermont because that's where I spent high school and stuff. So that's when I was more aware of the world. I wouldn't say I'm from Vermont though. I'm just like, I don't know where I'm from. I'm from the world. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
And what I do, I mean, I'm a college student and I'm a YouTuber and all that good stuff. So, I guess mostly at the moment I'm just like doing the college thing. I'm trying to get back into writing. The long and short of it is I'm just a Renaissance man. I have lots of things that I'm doing. And I
That's
don't
how
have,
I am.
yeah, I have no idea what questions they'd ask. Probably it's like, what do you actually do? It's like, I do it all. I just, yeah. I love making videos though. And that's where really what I want to do in the long run. And of course, yeah, there's all sorts of questions about like, what does that actually entail? I don't know. I feel like most people would just be like, "Oh yeah, that sounds awesome," and then they wouldn't ask questions.
Well, a lot of people too don't realize how much work goes into like creating and content and keeping YouTube going. I mean, I'm on my second channel. The first one I deleted on purpose, but this one it's easier because it's my second time around. But like, I do get asked a lot. People are like, "How hard is it? How hard is it to get out there? How'd you get subs so fast?" I mean, people don't know how to do it, so they have a lot of questions about YouTube, you know but my first question for you was like, when I found out where you're from, I was like, why doesn't he have an accent? Because I don't hear an accent with you, but everybody else from your area, I hear that accent.
What, the New Hampshire accent with like
Mm-hmm.
"idea"? I hate
Yeah.
"idea."
Yeah.
No,
But now I know it's because you're from everywhere.
don't even get me started on "idea." It's like one of my biggest pet peeves.
I say ideal a lot, and instead of IDEA, I put an
Yeah.
L at the end of it. And it's just the way my accent comes out. It does it. But yeah, it's so people make fun of me a lot about that.
All right. The next question: what's the best thing you've got going on in your life at the moment? Wow, that's a mouthful.
I have so many good things going on. First of all, I have developed some amazing friendships. Past few years, I just kind of stayed kind of sheltered, and I was friends, but I wasn't super close. And like, look, I mean, you and I have developed in the past few months like this great friendship. We were always friends, but now we're just, very close friends. And same, like I have, War Pig and Girly Reject and Lord Jace and Cajun and Chimp. I mean, so many people that have just come out and was like, Mel, let's get to know each other. Let's be better than what we have been. And that's what I've been doing. And super close to so many people. So that's like the best thing going for me right now. That and I got my dog, and she saved my life. And so I'm also creating a store. I'm bringing my jewelry store online through Facebook, and so that's something really really good going for me right now. I've got a lot of confidence built up, and I've also started boxing. And a lot of people don't realize my dad was a boxer, and so I've been started training because I've always wanted to be like my dad in that aspect, and so that's helping me a lot with that confidence. What about you?
My grandfather was actually a boxer. I
Really?
unfortunately don't know his name. He apparently was like a featherweight champion, but apparently there's sort of like a dime a dozen too, so I couldn't tell you, but yeah.
That'd be crazy if my dad and your dad went up against each other in a ring.
Well, was your dad like featherweight, or what division was he?
I don't. He could go back and forth. Like he would have to. He was like at that weight where they said, "Okay, we need you to lose some weight," and so he put his trash bags on underneath his jog suit, and he would jog for miles every day. And he
Hmm.
would do that to the point where he was so skinny he could do featherweight. And then they said, "Okay, you need to gain weight," so he'd eat bananas all week long. That's all he'd eat, and he'd gain the weight. So he was able to go back and forth between the weight classes. I don't think he now he's heavyweight, and he'll tell you too. Now I can't do that, but yeah. So yeah, he went back and forth.
Yeah. Huh. That does not seem healthy to
It is not
constantly
healthy at
jog
all.
back and forth. Anyway, so what's the best thing I've got going on in my life at the moment? I got a lot of good things going on in my life, but I like spent a video pretty much talking about stuff like this. So, right now I'm going back to school. I have a job interview coming up. I have my own place. And yeah, that's just pretty much like most of what's going on in my life. School's a huge time sink. YouTube's a huge time sink. But in a good way, of course. So, there you go.
You got a lot of good things going on. I'm very proud of you too.
Thank you. What scene in a movie always gives you goosebumps every time you watch it?
Okay, for this one, I'm going to go for the scary goosebumps. Because, what is that movie? Emily Rose, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. When the boyfriend's in the bed and he wakes up and looks, and she's like in that deformed, like she's on her back, but she's kind of up in the air and she's staring at him. That gives me goosebumps every time. It's just the way she had herself positioned and she looked so evil. And another one is in The Conjuring where the thing clapped next to her ear. Oh my goodness, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
Well, I want to be super boring. I can't think of anything. I don't really. And that's a good point you brought up. Was like, what kind of goosebumps? Scary goosebumps is one thing. I can't think of anything. There's nothing that I consistently watch anyways that like always gives me goosebumps.
Well, the ending to the Queen movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, when they were doing the Live Aid, that gave me goosebumps because I remember as a child watching that and saying, wow, you know, this dude's awesome. And growing up and having like this fondness of Queen in general and always remembering. And so when that scene came on, it was so similar to the original that I actually got these, I call them happy goosebumps all over my body. And they did such a good job with that movie.
Happy goosebumps.
Happy goosebumps. You have romantic goosebumps, happy goosebumps, scary goosebumps, angry goosebumps.
Okay. What incredibly common thing have you never done?
I've never ridden on a subway.
I've never ridden on a subway either. I've never been in a situation where I really could or needed to.
Yeah, I really don't know like how to answer this because I've done so much, you know.
Yeah, it's a very hard question. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
it's fine.
It's like, what is common anyway? I guess for me though, what I would say is I've never drank, which is pretty common. So
yeah.
What topic could you give a 20-minute presentation on without any preparation?
Okay. Slash from Guns N' Roses, which we all know that one. Rock music, jewelry making, video games, religion. I can talk about religion for hours and teach you so many of the world's religions. Medical, I can talk to you and teach you how to do so much in the medical field. I've done so much, like, and I have a lot of useless information too, so I can sit and like teach you how to do things that you'll never use in your life, ever. What about you?
Such as?
Oh, you want to know the useless stuff? I don't know, like, now you put me on the spot and I can't think of it. I could teach you how to properly clean your iron skillet and how to keep them conditioned. I can teach you
that is
properly.
Useful.
Yeah, well, not really. Not very many people use iron skillets anymore.
I have a cast iron skillet, actually.
Okay. They cook very well. I can teach you how to make a loop in a wire.
Ooh.
And make it stay and how it is perfect. I don't know. It's just, and that's something for jewelry making. It's just things that unless you were in needing to do that specific thing, it's kind of useless, you know? I can teach you how to shave your legs properly.
How to spread my legs properly? What?
No, shave.
Oh, I heard spread your legs properly. I'm like, what? Okay then.
I'm having a visual. It's time to go on.
Okay. 20-minute. Well, I really like mythology. I could do that, definitely. YouTubing, video making at this point, acting. I'd like to think chemistry. I hope I know enough chemistry at this point that I could give a 20-minute conversation about it and be fine, or 20-minute presentation. Of course, it depends
I
on
want
what
to hear.
level.
I
What?
want to hear your 20-minute presentation on mythology.
On mythology?
Mm-hmm.
Man,
We're
some
gonna have to
bad
talk
crap
later.
happened, and then things. There you go, mythology.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Oh god, I actually love mythology though. I had like this book of myths when I was a kid, and I that was like what I read all the time, like every day. So, and then I took few classes on mythology. I bet you can tell I'm a gamer. But
When I was a kid, I was all about Egypt. I just wanted to look like I carried around this little book. It was so cool. I wish I still had it. You'd open it up and it was like a pop out book of all the stuff in Egypt and all the stories. And I carried that thing with me everywhere for like 4 years. I loved that book and I don't know what happened to it. I think someone stole it, but I
oh,
loved Egypt so much. But I always was curious about mythology, but it's just something I never actually pursued to study. I should probably do that.
I see. Oh, and one last thing, which is video games.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
segueing off of that, what are some of your favorite games to play?
Okay, so my favorite game series ever is BioShock. I also really like Dragon Age, but I play Call of Duty almost every single night, and a lot of people think that's weird. They think the series is going downhill, which I'm telling you, the next game coming out, Modern Warfare, is going to bring it back. But I just enjoy it. I enjoy running around the same map and shooting people, but only if I'm with my friends. I don't want to do it alone. Like I get kind of bored when I do it alone, but it's more of a friend time than anything. And Call of Duty players, a lot of them kind of have like especially my group of friends, we kind of like have like the same sense of humor and everything. So I like that. And Defiance is my favorite MMO. Galaga was my favorite game when I was a kid, and I still play it today. What about you?
It's simpler for me to answer this question in a broad sense of like what game types do I tend to play the most. And I really like RPGs, I like platformers, retro-esque games, which I say retro-esque because there's a lot of indie games that kind of copy that style. But they're kind of like arcadey things. I would tend to focus on things like platformers and stuff. Like Castlevania is a series that I really love. I just
I love
like
Castlevania.
it's great, right? I love those
Yeah.
kinds of games though, because unlike modern games which are trying to be like uber realistic or whatever, they were games and they knew that they were just video games. You had things like extra lives and whatever, so in that sense, it just feels kind of nice. What takes a lot of time but is totally worth it?
Love.
I was going to say that.
Good.
As soon
So
as I
when you
said
were
the
kicking
question,
off
I'm
with
like, love.
yeah, love. Like, the thing is, and this is the truth, I tend to like I'll develop an infatuation and I'm like, oh, I really like this person. But for me to actually fall in love, it takes a very long time. Now, I mean, there's like an exception, like, my niece and nephew when they're born. I'm like, oh, I love them instantly, but like actually falling, and I believe you could fall in love not just with somebody who's supposed to be with you, but with your friends and with your family. You fall in love on so many different levels, but it's a long process. You can't just like all of a sudden just love somebody and want to be with them for the rest of your life unless you have that connection. And I have so many connections with so many people and I love so many people, but it is a work because I get hurt easily. And that's my biggest problem is I wear my heart on my sleeve and people can just stab it whenever they want to. And so it's a long process for me while I'm trying to protect myself. So love.
Yeah. I wanted to say something. I've forgotten though, so just tease the
I'm
whole
sorry.
internet. I wanted to say something, but now I can't. And now everybody's going to be like, what is it? But another thing that I wanted to add, because it's another big thing on my mind, It's just creative stuff, like art, video making, YouTube, all that good stuff. It's a lot of work. It's definitely a lot more work than people realize, but it is so worth it. Like, I can't imagine myself ever stopping doing like videos and writing and stuff like that. What is the most amazing fact you know? This one's tough.
It's really, really hard. Like, I don't know. I really cannot answer this one.
I have a ton of amazing facts, though.
That's the thing. I have them in my head, but then when you ask me, they just go away.
Well, I'll just do one from Egypt because we're talking about Egypt and mythology and stuff. So in my mythology class, we were talking about how, and this is not uncommon. The thing that was focused on in this mythology class was more like common threads, so we're seeing like similarities and differences across the board. So in like Egyptian mythology, they started worshipping the actual animals, which, like most prehistorical humans, we see some evidence that suggests that they would worship animals, such as like they would portray rituals around specific animals, etc. But the Egyptian mythos is actually just the animals that they used to worship. And as they developed, those animals just got human characteristics. So things like Anubis, the original Anubis was just a jackal, and then evolved into like the man-jackal hybrid.
Pretty cool. I have one for you. Like, once again, from Tennessee, and Tennessee's known for having moonshiners. And trust me, there's a lot of old moonshine stills just on the land I live on because my uncle was a moonshiner, but they're dead now. No one uses them. But people back in the day, they used to like wear animal feet. I know that sounds, it's not like real animal feet. They designed these shoes to make it look like cows' feet, like feet, so that when they would go in and out of the distillery, it would make the cops think that it's just a cow walking around.
That's clever.
Yeah.
What website or app doesn't exist but really wish it did? You really wish it did.
Oh wow. Well, I don't want to dog out any other like websites and stuff, but I'm gonna say like I really wish that there was an app or a website that I could find for jewelry making where you can find rare pieces of things that you need to make the jewelry. Does that make sense? Like, there's a lot of things, like I have to go through like 9 different apps and probably like 10 websites just to find one thing I'm looking for to be able to add to my collection, and that really sucks. And then also I go to a lot of yard sales and find old jewelry that I can purchase. I wish there was an app for that where like people can actually put their stuff on there. And I know that there's many out there, but it's so many scams and so many, like, it's like a lot of junk or it's overpriced. I want like legit stuff, And then also music, like there's this one website that I go to and I can look for indie music, but it's starting to get flooded with like the new stuff. I want like legit garage band music being uploaded to this so I can listen to it and not being like slammed with, you're listening to this old school music, but then here's something brand new, or here's, you know what I mean? Does all that make sense? Am I talking in a circle? Because I'm not very familiar with that many websites and apps that are actually catered to what I want. It seems like I have to go through so much BS to be able to just get to what I want.
That's true. No, you're making sense. I get you.
Okay.
I think there's pretty much an app for everything. But you just have to know where to look, and heck, if I know where to look.
Well, I can't find this jewelry thing. Like I found, like I said, this one over here has this and this has that, but it's like I'm looking for a specific thing. How can I find it? And I just can't find it unless I go through so many, Unfortunately,
I feel like the reality of life is that's never going to happen because that's just how that aspect is going to be.
Right.
If that makes
Right.
But
yeah,
I don't know. An app that gives me $1 million a day would be nice.
Oh yeah. I don't think I could blow through $1 million a day unless I was giving it away. So yeah, I'll
Nah.
take it. Just don't give it all away.
Yeah, pretty much. I just think like a few million. And that's only so I can be like, okay, I'll like invest. I'll be fine for life. And then just like give the rest away. I'm good. I don't need a lot of money, but life is just expensive.
Yeah, I'm not very greedy at all. So I don't know. I think that I would just like use the money to help everybody else, and all of my friends that I've met on YouTube would be completely blessed. I would be giving
Yeah.
everybody.
Again, I just want to, have my life taken care of is all. Kind of a thing.
Right.
Not like, oh, I want this amazing app because I just don't want to do anything, be set for life. I'm saying specifically in the concept, if this app was to exist, it's like, I just want to make sure that I have what I need. And once I have that, then I'm all good. I don't need much more than that. But,
But truthfully, even if I was a multi-billionaire, I'd still work.
hmm.
You know, and I still
I
work outside my home.
probably,
And a lot of people think that
yeah.
I don't really work, but I do. I work. I'm constantly going. Even when I'm sitting and just talking to my friends on the mic, my hands are doing something. I'm
Mhm.
constantly doing something. I'm constantly like creating something or writing out strategies of what's like my next thing I'm gonna do. You know, always my mind's going.
I might find something to occupy my time, but I wouldn't really bother doing like a 9 to 5 job. But that's off the point. This was my joke answer. I'm trying to think of a serious answer, like an app that would be really awesome. And I don't know, I guess I don't really have anything because I'm just the kind of mindset. It's like, if I want something, I'll just work for it. I really just have like the work for what you want mentality.
Right.
Alright. One last question. This is it. And it's a simple one, I think. What's your favorite time of day? What? They want more detailed, like weather and temperature and whatever? I don't know.
Well, it says what's
Time
your
of
favorite
day
time of
is
day.
not the same as like weather, temperature, etc.
It's type of day. Type. TYPE.
Uh,
On my phone. I
we
don't
got
know if
some
it's on your phone.
copyrighted music playing in the background. Hopefully that's not too loud. What
Okay.
is
I don't
actually...
hear it at all.
That's
Um,
good. I'll have music over this anyways.
so my favorite type of day, I like it when it's warm but not hot. So like 70 degrees is good for me, and like afternoons. I'm not a morning person, though I'm trying to be.
I am very much a morning person.
I know.
I've been thinking about it because I'm the kind of person I can't just have it be one way all the time. I need variety. So it's like, what's my favorite kind of weather? Well, I like sunny, I like cloudy, I like rainy, I like snowy. And if you asked me to pick one, I would say I need kind of all of them, or I'd feel like I'm missing out on something.
Right.
And yeah, like also in terms of like morning, day, night, whatever, I'll say that I tend to do most of my work in the evening and night, but if I get an early start, my day's just that much better, kind of a thing. I would say compared to night owls, I couldn't stay up as late though. People who are like up at 1 in the morning is like, I can't do that. Like for too long, because then I like always end up falling asleep midday and all that sex.
I remember us talking, and you're like,
Yep.
"How are you up so late?"
Yep.
And you're always up really early, and you say "Good morning," and then I'm
Yep.
like 6 hours later, I'm like, "Good morning."
Yeah, well, I also have to be up for school, but the weird thing is my like biological or internal clock, biological clock, something else. Internal clock is so good. Like I'll set my alarm, it'll be like, okay, 6:30, I'm good, and then I'm up at like 5, and your body's like, you're good, bro. Don't worry
No,
about it. And my
I'm starting to become a morning person. I'm sorry I didn't interrupt you. Pup jumps on my face every morning between 9:30 and 10:30, so I'm getting closer and closer.
and that's it. This was fun. It was actually kind of interesting because I felt like I was just interviewing you the entire time.
I know. We definitely need to do it again.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.